इतना गंदा दिख रहा है। तो क्या है खाना लंबा।
Hello, good evening, Etisham sir.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, all the participants.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, welcome.
Jinal madam has joined.
Yeah, sending her now the link. Okay. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, all of you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Has Geeta madam joined? Etisham sir?
No, sir.
Not yet, no. Okay. Eman sir also not joined, no? Okay.
ठीक है सर, 5 मिनट में हो जाएगा सर.
हाँ, वो ठीक है.
Rajesh sir, I'm just testing for Tarane Anjuman.
Yeah, yeah, sir. No issue. You can please test. No, that's good actually. Sanaullah Khan, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Jinal madam. Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
welcome, Jill ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
हाँ बेटा join. Yeah, welcome, Jill ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
Rajesh
yes.
sir,
चल
is it
चल रहा है, आवाज आ रही है. Yeah, thank you, Atisha.
राजेश सर, प्रिंसिपल सर और कीर्ति मैडम को जरा एक कॉल कीजिए ना,
हाँ मैंने.
so that we can start sharp at
Yes, yes, yes. I'm calling.
Yes.
Yeah, she's joining. But yeah, sir, please join कीजिए. हाँ sir, please join कीजिए. Okay. Yeah, yeah, please. Yes, I saw you. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Atisham sir, Hemant sir is already there by name Akbar Peerbhoy College. हाँ सर ज्वाइन कीजिए. Atisham sir.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, Shaukat sir is joining. Then we'll start.
Okay, sir. अच्छा, everything is now live.
Yeah.
हो रहा है so Shaukat sir has also joined.
Yes. Good evening, Shaukat sir.
Good afternoon to all of you being present
Yes,
right
good
now.
evening. Good evening, sir. Sanaullah, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, salam, sir. Are you? Yeah. Okay, be there. So should we start, Hemant sir? Should we start? Guest is there. Madam has joined. Yeah. Good evening, Jinal ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, all, everyone. So Hemant sir,
Yes, sir.
should we start?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So first of all, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We are meeting today for one-day FDP organized by Research Cell, IT Department, and in association with IQAC on making effective and winning presentation for research paper. So as we start any program by praising God, so may I call our student Sanaullah to come and recite few verses of Quran. Please, Sanaullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم अल्लाह ताला की बारगाह में पनाह चाहता हूँ शैतान मरदूद से बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अल्लाह ताला के नाम से शुरू जो बहुत मेहरबान निहायत रहम वाला अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन सब खूबी अल्लाह ताला को जो मालिक सारे जहां वालों का अर्रहमानिर्रहीम मालिक यौमिद्दीन बहुत मेहरबान रहमत वाला रोज़े जज़ा का मालिक इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तईन हम तुझी को पूजे और तुझी से मदद चाहें इहदिनस सिरातल मुस्तकीम हमको सीधा रास्ता चला सिरातल्लज़ीना अन्अमता अलैहिम रास्ता उनका जिन पर तूने एहसान किया गैरिल मग़दूबि अलैहिम वलद्दाल्लीन ना उनका जिन पर गजब हुआ और ना बहके हुओं का सदक़ल्लाहु अज़ीम
Very nice, Sanaullah. Thank you very much. Very nice. Now, may I request Professor Ehtesham to please play Uttarane Anjuman?
अंजुमन
Yeah, Atisham sir.
हेलो सर,
हेलो।
रिकॉर्डिंग आ नहीं रही है उधर?
नहीं आ रही थी, बंद हो गई।
अच्छा, मैं वही इसलिए तो मैं कंटिन्यू कर रहा था, मुझे लगा आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे
ना 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 ना, कुछ नहीं।
हैं। अच्छा, सॉरी
Please.
सॉरी।
Yeah.
अंजुमन अंजुमन
अंजुमन अंजुमन
हिंद की आबरू शान, इस्लाम की शम्मा जलती है यहाँ, प्यार के नाम की
शम्मा जलती है यहाँ, प्यार के नाम की।
हमको हाजत नहीं कोई इन आम की, आरज़ू है फकत इल्म के जाम की, इल्म के जाम की।
Atisham.
अंजुमन
अंजुमन अंजुमन
इल्म दौलत है, अज़मत है इंसान की, इल्म इज्जत है हिंदू मुसलमान की,
इज्जत है हिंदू मुसलमान की।
इल्म राहत है दीन और ईमान की, इल्म ज़ीनत है हर दिल की हर जान की,
इल्म ज़ीनत है हर दिल की हर जान की।
बुलबुले हम हैं और ये हमारा चमन,
हमारा चमन।
अंजुमन अंजुमन
अंजुमन अंजुमन
अंजुमन अंजुमन।
अंजुमन अंजुमन।
Thank you, Atisham. Thank you, Atisham sir. Thank you very much. Now may I invite Dr. Shaukat Ali sir, HOD of Commerce Department and Research Cell Chairperson, to please come and welcome our principal, guest and all the participant faculty. Dr. Shaukat Ali sir.
क्योंकि अब वो इंट्रोड्यूस कराने वाले हैं तो बेसिकली वैसे ही उनका वो था स्ट्रक्चर, सब चीज फॉलो करते हैं।
Hello.
Shaukat sir. हाँ sir, please.
Am I audible to all of you? Can you hear me
Yes,
out?
sir. Yeah, we are able to.
Respected Principal Professor Hemant Kumar Junala, Coordinator of the program Dr. Rajesh Bhoite, in charge of IQAC Professor Kirti Menghani ma'am, Assistant Director of Professional Courses Professor Hanif Lakrawala, and all other valued colleagues and participants, and most importantly, the resource person for today's program, a very young, dynamic Professor Jinal Shah. She will be interacting with the participants on the topic that's very relevant, very significant, that is making effective and very winnable presentation for research paper. May not be taking much of your time because the topic is very significant, and I will request the coordinator of today's program to please continue with the program, formally welcoming the resource person and other dignitaries. Thank you so much. Dr. Rajesh, you
Thank you,
can
sir.
continue.
Thank you
please.
so much. Thank you.
Yeah, sir. Thank you very much. Now, may I ask our principal, sir, who is very proactive and very dynamic, and he does support us in all the activities, and we are experiencing the change. So, sir, I request you to please address the audience today. Please, Hemant, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajesh. Thanks for these kind words. I welcome today's expert speaker, Ms. Jinal Shah. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and joining us.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Looking forward to hear to you, ma'am. And the topic is very good. Winning presentation for your research paper. That's very good. Before we go on to that, I would like to just brief the participants about our institution. You have seen the way we start the program. That is our culture. That's what we follow whenever we start any program. The Tarane Anjuman is something which symbolizes the contribution of Anjuman towards the nation. That's what Anjuman has been doing. It's 147 years old trust, participated in the freedom struggle and all. So we represent a symbol of secularism. We here cater to all those students, especially those who are deprived of access to the higher education and all. Our own institution, Akbar Peerbhoy College, has completed 52 years, 1969 established actually. And in that area, which is supposed to be near to the JJ Hospital and catering to all those students who are basically first-time learners and all. So that's the contribution what Akbar Peerbhoy College has made in the nation building, especially catering to all those students who have, they find it difficult to get access to the higher education tools and institutions actually. So anything which comes our way, which benefits our students and our staff, is something which we look forward. And today's session is something which is very important for all our PG students as well as the teachers and the degree students who are interested in making presentations. Forget about research, even presentations are very important order of the day. So thank you so much, ma'am. Without taking much of your all of your time, I request Rajesh to please go ahead with the program. Thank you so much for hearing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sir. Thank you very. Yeah, so thank you very much, Hemant, sir. Now I would I'll introduce today's guest. As sir already said, she's very young and very dynamic. I would say she's one of the catalysts in today who is doing good in research and well known nationally as well as internationally. So Jinal Shah, madam, is working as an assistant professor in Marketing School of Commerce in Narsimha Monji Institute of Mumbai. She was HOD in a PMS department in SIS College for 8 years before this. She's a gold medalist in MBA from Somaiya College. She has cleared net set in subject of commerce and management 5 times. She's also the resource person to guide students in the same subject. Right now, she is doing PhD from Mumbai University. She has won 8 awards for her research papers. She's the best presenter in various national and international conferences such as MICA, SIE, COMS, SIMSR, and JBIMS. So she has got a number of awards for research paper. She has recently published 2 cases with Philip Kotler, the big name in marketing management book. We know that is a big author. With his 15th edition, she has already published 2 cases. She's also a content writer for the strategic brand management authored by Kevin Keller, Andy Parmeswaran, and Isaac Jacob. She is well known for her sessions on personal branding on LinkedIn. She already has taken 50 sessions in various universities in India as well as abroad. So as already I said, she is a young catalyst in the field of academics, and she has been doing too good, and very sure she's going to achieve much more in near future, and she's going to certainly motivate, influence all of us and the young mind. So madam, you are welcome in our institute. virtually we are meeting. One day we shall also invite you offline. So welcome again.
Thank you.
And I would request you to start your session with. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
A very good evening to all of you. Special gratitude to Rajesh sir. I met him at the very early stage in my career, and the kind of confidence that he gave me that you should go ahead with net exam and you can do it. I think those words of encouragement I'll never forget, and I do consider him as my guru. And I have a lot of regards for him. Thank you, sir, for calling me today. Also, gratitude towards Shaukat Ali sir and Hemant Kumar sir and all the entire organizing committee, and also to the participants. Now, without further ado, I'll go ahead with this particular topic. So when Rajesh sir approached me that we need to do something on research, both of us were on the same page as far as the topic is concerned, because we haven't seen this kind of topic being covered. So there are either FDPs or research workshops which talk about the quantitative, qualitative, hardcore statistics or software tools, or you have these long FDPs for 1 week, 2 week, where from the basics to the advanced topics are considered. So we thought that why not to also talk about how can we make effective presentations for research papers. So I'm glad that I get to talk about this very innovative topic. Just want to give a disclaimer that this session I have designed in terms of how if you are participating in conferences, research conferences, how you can have a very good presentation that conveys your points and also helps you gain the accolade for best research paper. I may, if you have doubts related to research or research paper, I will try to solve that as well. But more or less, okay, we are going to focus on the presentation per se. So in my experience, okay, in my 9.5, 10 years of career, I have presented 18 papers, which includes in IIT Kharagpur, IIM Vishakhapatnam, JBIMS, Somaya 2 to 3 times, Jamnalal Bajaj, some small and big colleges here and there. And out of these these presentations, 18 presentations that I've made, I have won the award for best research paper in such conferences 8 times. So it's always very reinforcing. I started this, okay, my first award was in 2015, and my 8th award was in January 2022. I will talk about those key presentations, okay, what was there in my thought, in my mind. But I have to say that with each presentation, I have evolved. With each passing year, I have grown. So today, I'm thankful to everyone, who has contributed to me in my path and career. Now, let's look at the tips and tricks. I've made a very compact presentation. I'm not going to bore people, okay, with what is research, why should we do research, okay? Research is important, it should be done. We have to grow the body of knowledge. We as teachers, it is part of our, KRA. We have to do it. So let me talk about these pointers, one by one. So whenever it comes to presenting in any conference, okay, a lot of times people say that if there is no API, why should I participate in these conferences? I would say that do not care about the API. We participate in conference so that we network with people, we get a lot of ideas. Secondly, when you are participating, with your research, try to make sure that whatever topic that you have, it somewhat fits with the main theme of the conference. This is very, very important, okay? Just because, so I always have this approach that every now and then I'm working on some areas, okay? There are some areas which I'm constantly working on. So whenever some appropriate conferences come, I target only those conferences. Whereas I have seen sometimes people have this different approach wherein if a conference call for paper comes, then they think about the topic, then they think about the paper. Now, generally the conference call comes, okay, and till the time they accept the paper, it's barely 1 to 2 months. And to do good research in these 1 to 2 months is very difficult, okay? I think, I don't think I will be able to do that, covering 80 to 100 papers for the literature review, doing data collection, data analysis, writing. It can be so tedious. So make sure that you're always working on some areas and target just 2 conferences in a year. It's more than enough. 2 to 3 conferences only you should target, and your target should increase, every now and then. Second is be selective of the research conference or publications. Do not grant for any and every conferences, or if your friend is organizing and if your friend is pestering, or please you have to present a paper, okay. I don't think good research happens that way. If you have to do really good research, okay, it has to be very, very selective. Our topic also has to be very niche, very selective. And so we have to be very choosy about the conferences that we're looking at. Ideally, one should look for only those conferences which have tie-up with some journals, in terms of, okay, that the publication will be in some UGC Care or Scopus or ABDC journals. Also, a lot of times, okay, people have a myth that if my paper is accepted in conference, it will directly go for publication. No, it doesn't happen that way. Generally, when it comes to local colleges, at our state level, all kinds of papers are accepted. But when you think about IIMs, IITs, and all such places, they will not accept all papers. Okay, they'll accept few papers. And even after the presentation of those papers, not all of them go for publication, because the publication house has their own criteria, which that article, okay, which the authors have to fulfill. So have that myth removed from your mind, that, oh, if I present in a conference, automatically I get a direct entry in a publication. No, it doesn't work that way. If you have to pay to a publication house, okay, to get your research, okay, then I think it's a predatory thing you should not be doing. Third thing that I want to talk about is that the quality always matters over quantity. Nobody cares, okay, whether you have 50 research papers, 20 research papers. Frankly speaking, even the 8 awards that I have, nobody cares, okay, except me. But so what I'm trying to say is that less is more. Just focus on 2 conferences, okay, on 2 conferences, and it is more than enough. Whereas you can for your other ideas and other projects, you can look at direct publications. So don't target any and every conference, and raise your own bar, okay. Like, so generally I have the habit that if in a certain college, okay, I've already present, I may not go there, okay. I would want to target a notch higher, just to challenge myself, okay, and nothing else, okay. I would like to put myself in a uncomfortable, challenging situation to see. And I have to tell you, I faced a lot of rejections and failures in my life, lot of rejections. But I think we need to keep on trying that. We need to up our own, standards. The next point that I want to talk about is the idea. Now, what type of papers, okay, get awards, okay? Conference, in my opinion, okay, this is my personal opinion, whenever it comes to research conferences, novelty of the idea is so very, very important, okay. It has to be something very cutting edge, something very contextual, something very upcoming. Like if you know devices like Alexa and all of those Siri, etc. So they're called as conversational commerce, the devices which talk. So these are new topics. 3 to 4 years ago, OTT platforms, over the top video on demand. 4 years ago, I think 2017, 18, those were new topics. So such conference, whenever you go in conferences, and if you present those type of ideas, you will definitely get a lot of positive attention. Okay, so look for always new ideas. And if you ask me, where do you get the ideas? I get my ideas by reading, by listening to people, either guest talks or sometimes YouTube documentaries. So that constant learning is happening, so that those ideas come. Sometimes the ideas also come with respect to newspapers, that how some businesses are booming and going up or down or something of that sort. The second thing that your paper should have is that it should contextually unique is important, but it should also have a proper gap. So I see countless research papers, okay, which are done on work-life balance, okay, work-life balance of undergraduate teachers, work-life balance of postgraduate teachers, investment awareness of undergraduate teachers, and investment awareness of postgraduate teachers. I'm not trying to downplay anything, but there's already enough research that has been done on those areas. So we should look for some new gaps. And when I say gaps, not just the contextual gaps, but theoretical gaps. That are those variables or constructs, the new variables or constructs that you're thinking, are they applied in that domain? If not, then that is a significant gap which can lead to a good finding. A lot of times people also should try to show a gap that this research, the first research was done in UK and then in US, but nothing of that is done in Mumbai or India. No, a geographical gap is also not very effective gap. It may You might be able to present in a conference, you might even get some publication, but then that is something I think we are not targeting. Okay, this session is for, you know, how to get a best paper. So now how do I know whether my gap that I have, okay, is good or not, okay, or is it relevant or not? You do that, okay, by doing a good literature review. Suppose you come up with an idea, say if you're thinking about neuromarketing. So you type neuromarketing in Google Scholar and just look at the results. If there are results, okay, which are more than 500,000, I would say that kind of drop that idea. Or maybe, okay, then at least look at some papers, at least 30-40 research papers, you know, have an Excel sheet wherein you're talking about the variables, the objectives, what were the gaps, etc. And you create this Excel sheet for yourself, like an inventory, to figure out that these are the common models, these are the common constructs, and that's how you get to know the gap. The another thing that, since I've presented, okay, in some of the IIT IIMs, they are very particular about the gaps and they're very particular about the research methodology. It can't be a very hanky-panky thing. ऐसे कोई questionnaire बनाया, no. Okay, first of all, the variables or the constructs that you have, you know, we need to use an adapted scale. We can't create our own questions, okay, for those variables, because then we have to go through a scale development process, which itself is so tedious, which takes 2 to 3 years, or at least 2 years, okay, to prepare a questionnaire that way. So those type of ideas need to be clear. We need to be clear as far as who was the sample, what type of sampling method was chosen, and why we did a qualitative or a quantitative or a mixed method. So that type of justification and logical reasoning is required with proper citation. Also, I want to talk about literature review again, that please try to use last 5 years research papers, okay, in your studies. That is what is important. And landmark articles which are maybe say 10 years old, 20 years old, that can be also brought in your study. But otherwise, okay, if your study has all articles which are 10, 20 years old and you're not covering in the last 3 to 5 years, then it is not a decent literature review. A lot of times, okay, findings, okay, in terms of findings, okay, people just show averages or bar charts and pie charts. No, that is something, okay, these days even 12th standard students are doing. We need to have hypothesis, okay, we need to do hypothesis testing, or if it's a qualitative, then, transcribing and drawing themes from those interviews. So that thing is important. A lot of traditionally, okay, nobody talks about the discussion section in the research paper. The discussion section is very important, and implications, like what are the theoretical and managerial implications of your study. These are very, very important things. I have been struggling with implications, okay. So the last 3 conferences, okay, that I've gone, but I've been told that, the gap is fine, the idea is fantastic, methodology is also good, but your managerial implications are weak. And in one of the suggestions that I got, that you can improvise this by reaching out to the industry people, reach out to them, seek their views, opinions, what they think about your research problem and your findings, and try to extract that in your study. So that is something you could do. Next is when you're preparing a presentation for any presentation, okay, your presentation is your identity of your work. And I'm sure, okay, when it comes to our individual identity, okay, how particular we are, how the way we dress up, the way we present ourselves, the choice of words that we have. Similarly, our PPTs or our presentations are our identity, and we cannot underestimate it, or we can't take it, chalo kuch bhi aisa, So typically, I'm very obsessed, okay, when it comes to giving proper presentations and everything. So at least 1 week, 10 days prior, I start my prep for making the presentation. And on each slide, okay, I'll spend so much of time, energy in making the information very presentable, very, very, specific. Next is, okay, next tip that I thought I can give you is that aim high. When I say aim high, always think of, targeting, say, if you already have a UGC care publications, then next is try for Scopus. Within Scopus also, there are 4 levels, Q1, Q2, Q3, try for Q4, Q3, etc. Then once you feel that Scopus is okay, you've mastered, then think of, A, B, D, C journals, wherein you maybe start from C, B, A, and A star, and so on. So it's very important. Going to conferences is important because it helps you seek collaborations, okay? A lot of collaborative opportunities, okay? You get to know people working in the similar areas. sometimes, okay, we feel that, I've seen a lot of people are not comfortable collaborating because, they may have not had positive experiences about it, but I think we should not give up. Majority research that happens from IIMs, IITs, and in foreign institutions, it is always collaborative effort. There are at least 3 to 5 authors who are part of it. Nimita, can you please keep yourself on silent? Yeah, thank you. So very important for collaboration. Recently, I have I've collaborated on 1 or 2 projects with some international scholars, and there is so much we get to learn. If we think about, oh, whether am I going to be the first author, second author, then I think, we will never be able to grow. As long as you are getting a chance to work in a project, okay, wherein you might be even third author, fourth author, how does it matter? What matters is, are you getting a chance to learn? Because what you learn over there, you will be able to apply. So I was part of a systematic literature review and bibliometric analysis of a topic with a team of 5 people, which included 2 foreign scholars and 3 Indian scholars. So I have got the second last authorship. I've worked hard for it. I've given a lot of my inputs for it. But that doesn't matter, okay, whether I got the second last authorship or something. The publication is under review and we're waiting, okay, for the outcome. But whatever I learned with respect to systematic literature review, I was able to apply for my PhD studies. I was able to apply for it, and a Scopus article came out of it. So have that type of open mindset. The moment, okay, people are noticing your talent. So if they feel like, oh yes, you're really good, they will give you first authorship also. Network in conferences, okay, speak to people, do attend, do listen to their presentations also. ऐसा नहीं कि हमारा खुद का presentation हो गया और हम चले गए. Or if you're collaborating with someone, only one person goes and you get your ready-made certificate. Don't do that. Okay. Also try to connect with people on LinkedIn. So I have this habit that every time I read a research paper, if the paper is very good, okay, I look at the authors on the LinkedIn and I send them a connection request, asking them that I want to learn from them, or I love their article and why it was such a great study. So that's how, okay, we network with our fellow researchers. Being a good audience for other presentations doesn't mean not asking questions. So students have this unsaid rule now. Listen, you don't ask me a question, I will not ask you a question, okay? So I would say that if somebody is asking you questions, okay, don't feel that, oh, this person, okay, is trying to remove some grudge or it's trying to put me down. No, don't think that way. They're opening your mind and they're allowing you to think, okay, new directions. Another thing that I would like to say is read, okay, as much as you can. We are teachers, okay, we have to read. If we say, if you can't do that, okay, or if we have arrived, ya bhi mere ko kya zarurat hai, then I think something is not right. And so a lot of times, okay, in the workshop that I've attended, so there are speakers who say that at least 1 paper a day you should read. Just a second. The change of weather. So reading at least 1 paper a day is very important. I have a habit that I'll take a printout of a paper, and whenever I'm traveling or whenever I have some free time, which is generally in the morning time, I'll read the paper either at a full stretch or maybe in parts and bits whenever I'm free. And I'll make note of pointers, oh, this point I liked, okay, how this sentence was framed. And I will not read any paper, okay? I'll read paper of my domain only, or papers, okay, on a certain research methodology like structural equation modeling or so on and so forth. And then I make notes, okay, like chota bacha, school, college going bacha, okay, I make notes, okay, or I sometimes paraphrase those lines, okay, and I use it in my articles or in my chapterization of thesis. Whatever I read, I make sure that I write it within a week or 10 days. so that whenever if I have to roll out any article, okay, my inventory of sentences, my inventory of content is ready. Then I have to just remove the sentences. I have to just filter things in format, and that's how my articles get ready. But it takes effort, it takes time, but this has helped for me. The next thing, okay, that I want to talk about is what should we avoid, okay, when we are looking at, presentations. Do not use the same idea for many papers or for multiple conferences. Bas aap usko घिसा पिटा घुमा फिरा के, no, don't do that. So if you've done a study on Apple, don't repeat that same study on Orange and then present. Okay, that's not good research. When you're presenting, try to avoid clutter in slides. And when I say clutter in slides, okay, do not copy paste and put an entire paragraph. It is very irritating, okay, to read. It shows that the researcher, while presenting, has no interest, okay, in preparing a good presentation or conveying their ideas. So you should be passionate about your topic, your ideas, and for that, okay, you need to present, and that needs effort. Next is, okay, do not exceed the time for presentation. I've made that mistake. Recently, okay, I presented at IIT Kharagpur. I had a very comprehensive study, everything that is possible. Okay, in a research paper, I covered everything, but I exceeded the time. And the track chairs, okay, the judges told me, your presentation was excellent, but you exceeded the time, and so we are going to cut your marks. That was heartbreaking for me. Okay, that was like, oh shit, oh God, what happened, but then make sure that you don't do this mistake. Okay, plan. And so for this particular conference, what happened was that just one day prior, we were told that you have 8 to 10 minutes, whereas I had prepared thinking that 15 minutes is the standard time that we get, so I'm going to prepare accordingly. So make sure that if the organizers have not conveyed the time for presentation, you ask them, and accordingly you decide your slides. Then when it comes to showing the statistical information or data, just don't copy paste from SPSS. Okay, no, don't do that. You can copy paste and put it in an Excel and then format it in a very nice manner. It should be presentable. Okay, unnecessary numbers, data which makes no sense, do not put them. Okay, don't try to show too much of numbers and impress people. Okay, that doesn't help. And small inconsistent fonts are also not going to be useful. And don't use excess animation or color scheme, because research per se, okay, is a little formal ones. Okay, majority presentations are very, very formal, very simple, kind of on the boring lines. So if you're going to have too much of animation and color change and all of that, that will not be appreciated. Don't use too many images which are not related to your study. Again, it will not look. Now, what should you include? Okay, the first thing that you should include is your title slide. A good title slide, trust me, okay, does half of your work. It shows, okay, so if just visualize yourself, you yourself are attending a conference, okay, your turn is done, or maybe somebody else is presenting, okay, we all are passively listening, okay, we are either on our mobiles or we are just reading something else. But then, you see somebody, okay, comes, okay, with a very good title slide. Okay, you will keep your mobile aside. Okay, you will keep that focus, and you will want to see what is this person trying to say. So as they say, a well begun is half done. Okay, so a good title slide is so very important. Now, what to include? Okay, these are the things that are required to be included. I'm not going to talk about each of these things. In fact, I'm going to talk about my own presentation. Okay, I'm going to share the whole presentation which I gave at MICA, Mudra Institute of Communication, in January 2022, for which I won the first prize, and I won an award of 4 lakh rupees. This was one of the biggest moments of my career, because MICA is said to be as a hub of advertising marketing. It's as good as IIMs. So to get a prize over there, okay, it made me feel very happy. So I'm going to share, okay, this particular presentation. I'm not going to tell you my research topic or area. I'm not going to bore you, but I'm going to tell you the logic that I've used for every slide, and maybe you could derive some inspiration. So this is my title slide. For this one, I have kept simple, because in the past, okay, I would have more. Okay, there was more such a thing, okay, that I would put, and then I've kind of toned down myself. Later on, if we have time, I'll also show you some other title slides that I've had. Your topic, okay, and then your affiliation details. then index is very important. Okay, it's very important to have an index. You should not spend too much time, okay, talking about your index, not more than 10-15 seconds, but having it is super, super important. I think somebody is on unmute mode. If you could just, mute yourself.
Excuse me, participants, we request you to please mute yourself. Kindly do mute. Yeah, thank you.
So this is the index, okay, that I was saying. The next thing, okay, is the background of the study. So when we say background, it's very important that you bring some industry data or government data or secondary data, which should have proper source and everything. Like that, whichever domain that you're studying, say you're doing a study on mobile payments. So there are a lot of industry reports on mobile payment, okay, that how it's an upcoming growing industry. Do talk about that to generate interest in the audience. That's why it's such an interesting area to do. Next, my study was on MOOCs, massive open online courses. So rather than writing bada sentences, okay, that MOOC is this, MOOC se ye advantages hai, MOOC se ye disadvantages hai. What I have said that, okay, MOOC se career progression, I've given the citation. MOOC helps us in giving content, competency development. It satisfies a cognitive, it helps in certification. So very limited words, okay. And each of these words stay with people. Imagine I'd put sentences long, 8 to 10 words ka sentence, okay, for each of these benefits of MOOCs. It would have been so boring. Having citations, okay, on the slide itself is very, very important. You can follow APA citation, okay, that's generally preferred. The next is, okay, now this is, I want to talk about, this is part of my introduction, wherein now I'm talking, so this is a contextual, MOOC is a context, like mobile payment is a context. Now I'm talking about the theory. Okay, information systems is a domain from which my study, my PhD is. So I'm talking about the popular models which exist in this particular domain. I just do the introduction. I don't talk about each and every model. Experts know what this domain is. So these are the, so if you see TRA, SCT, what are these? Okay, these are the various popular models and how this information systems domain with respect to technology adoption has increased. So this is again, I'll spend 30 seconds on this, 30-40 seconds. Then I come up with a research question, that what are the factors, okay, that are influencing. And then I talk about the literature review. And I have different styles of literature review. For this particular MICA study, okay, I've done the literature review in this format. And I was able to do this because along with this, I was also working on a systematic literature review paper, an SLR. Maybe in the doubts, or if anybody has a doubt to what it is, I will talk about it later on. So I prepared the, I have a table which is ready. And I spoke about, this. I don't speak about every study. What I say that majority studies has been done on initial adoption. It has been done, okay, in China and in other Asian countries, very limited studies in China, majority studies on S&P, which is students, professionals, but no specific study only on professionals. And then these are the models, integrated models that are used. So I talk about that. And then I say that I also, my study was on millennials. So some literature review on millennials, that who are these millennials? And what has been the research that has happened on millennials? Okay, so I talk about that. I may not be able to talk about every pointer that is mentioned because thoda sa fast bhi karna hota hai. And then I don't read out the citation. Don't read out the citation. Okay, it's for the track chair and the audience. Okay, to read, to understand. Then using that literature, I talk about my proposed model. This is my diagram. This is my model, and it has to be a clean diagram. Okay, I'm sure you know how it has to be made. Then I talk about the operational definition of constructs. So these are the constructs which I'm using. Okay. So what are, when I say category, these are the broad dimensions I would like to put them into. What are their nature? Is it an IV, DV, or a mediator, whatever it is. So I talk about that. Then a very crisp definition. In the literature, okay, there is a 2-liner definition, but I just pick the keywords and I put it over here and I give the citation again. And what are these number of items? So this is an adapted scale. Items means 3 questions, okay, for performance expectancy, 4 questions for effort expectancy, so on and so forth. So that's how I do that. Then I talk about the hypothesis that I'm proposing in the study. So again, I do a quick reading. I don't read everything, okay, in detail, because otherwise time chala jata hai. So hypothesis. Then comes my research methodology. That it's a quantitative approach. I'm using, in terms of research instruments, a structured questionnaire. It's adapted, it's contextualized. Demographic questions I make on my own, but otherwise construct questions are adapted and modified and contextualized. Then we have to do a pre-testing of our question answer, which I've done with MOOC experts and researchers who tell to change the wording, and that's how we get the content validity. Then I've done a pilot testing. Validity reliability was proper, and pilot testing was done on 200 samples. Then in terms of sampling method, okay, I've used a non-random sampling, convenience sampling. Sampling frame, okay, who was my sampling frame? It's generally the MOOC users and millennials working for professionals. Basically my boundaries, okay, I don't go beyond these boundaries. Specifications, that means not all professionals who were part of my study, okay, they should have completed, MOOC course, paid off fee. My sample size was this much, and after cleaning the data, it came down to this. I've used a Daniel Soper sample size calculations. Today is not the day, okay, to talk about this, but there's G power, there's Daniel Soper. There are many other scientific ways of calculating your sample size based on the method of analysis. So my method was structural equation modeling. I had 7 constructs, 27 variables, and at a probability level of 0.05, okay. The minimum sample I had to have was 210. So I've exceeded much more. I'm using smart PLS to do my data analysis. Then I talk about that there is no response bias, no non-response bias in my data. There's no common method bias, what statistical methods I'm using for that. Then I also talk, I'm not going to get into the technicalities because this is not the session for that. Maybe some other day we'll talk about it. Then I talk about that how there is univariate normality and there is no multivariate normality. And because there is no multivariate normality, I can use PLS as a software, okay? PLS as a method, partial least square as a method to do the structural equation modeling. In that, okay, we have inner model, outer model, measurement, structural model. Then I talk about the validity, reliability. If you will see, okay, the very limited information, citation is there, very clean work, okay, tables, these are the tables you don't get directly, okay, you have to, work a lot, okay, in creating these. And from where did I get these ideas, okay, for the tables? From the research papers. Again, citations and all. Then I try to show the construct reliability, Cronbach alpha convergent together. Then discriminant validity, first I show Fortner lacquer. And you will see how I have highlighted some key points, okay? Then heterotrait, monotrait, because this is an upcoming thing when you're using SCM. Then I talk about that how hypothesis testing was done using bootstrapping and so on and all of that. And then these are my results. Again, these results are not as is that I've taken. I've made this table, I've modified and I've made a lot of changes in that. So in this table, I talk about the p-values also. I talk about, okay, which hypothesis gets supported. And I also talk about the f-values and the beta coefficients and everything. R-square yahan pe bataya hai, but I talk about the R-square separately also. This is the Q-square that I'm talking about. These are all ways, okay, to talk about that how your model is robust and how it has applicability in various other contexts. I talk about model fitness and goodness of it because PLS as a software, smart PLS is considered as a little weaker because you have a non-normal data. So MOS is another software that you can use to do for doing structural equation, and it has a lot of fitness criteria. But PLS does not have. So how can you say that your model is good? How can you say that your method and everything is robust? So how did I get to know? I attended one workshop and I read few papers on these lines. So from there I've adapted. Then I talk about the mediation. Again, all of these tables, okay, I have tried to, figure out what is relevant information, what should I talk about in terms of threshold and so on. Then this is the IPMA analysis, importance performance matrix analysis. So this is, again, I have taken the graph and then the table that I've made. Then in terms of implications, theoretical implications, okay, I talk about like this, okay, that this is how the study is going to be useful. Then I talk about how my hypothesis results, okay, are consistent with past findings. I talk about that. Then I talk about managerial implications, that how industry, okay, can use this information, how other institutions, policymakers can make use of this information. I talk about the limitations, very important, that it's a cross-sectional and, whatever are your limitations. Every research has a limitation. Then I also talk about the future directions, very, very important, okay, future research. And you just can't say that, oh, this is done in India, now we can do it in China. No, it has to be something else, okay, it has to be very, very specific. So I may have just written few pointers over here, but I explain more. Then these are some of the references, okay, I show. And these are superimposed one on side on the other slide. And that's how I do my presentation. So we are, so there's a lot of talking from my side. It's almost 4:50. If there are any questions from the audience side, I would like to take that. Because as far as my presentation is concerned, I have completed it, and I hope this was useful to you. I hope it made sense to you.
Ma'am, first of all, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Ma'am, I am Faisal Mushtaq from J&K, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, why it becomes so difficult, sometime to write any paper, because we, keep on thinking that, okay, we will write, and then days and then weeks and then months keep on passing. But it becomes very difficult for us to handle the situation, ma'am. Kindly explain in detail,
Yes.
ma'am, please.
Faisal, sir, I think what you have asked such an important question. I think all of us go through this, but we have so many ideas, if we are not able to convert all of these ideas into research papers. So I have this habit that, I have an Excel sheet. So as I started my PhD journey, I made an Excel sheet of research ideas, and whatever ideas that I've come in my mind, I would note it down. Frankly speaking, out of some 20 ideas that I've written, I've been able to convert only 3 to 4 papers. But I think that happens with a lot of us. I also keep a diary with me. Like I have I'm very methodical that way, organized that way as far as my academics are concerned. So I will prepare a to-do list. And any research paper that you see, the reading per se, that takes so many months. Okay. And then when it comes to writing, I don't write just in 1-2 days. Introduction, I'll take 3-4 days. Then literature review, okay, I'll take some more days. So like that, slowly. So in a year, writing good 1 to 2 papers is normal, it's doable. Thoda sa persistency is required, and I think it is then possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah. Ma'am, the way you have you said it correctly, that we knew we can first focus on Q4 kind of journals, and then we can raise bar, then Q3, Q2, peer research. As of now, as you have correctly said, that when we look out for any conference, we need to look out even what is the which is having tie up with journal. So can you guide with how can we find out my subject is commerce? So how to find out Scopus journals, how to find out peer reviewed journal and Q4 journals?
So ma'am, whenever suppose you see in a conference, okay, that they say they have typed with X and Y Z journal, you go to that X and Y, you go to Google, you type that journal's name, okay, and in the website you see their indexing, abstracting indexing, okay, you should check. And there they will say that they are, whether they're indexed in Scopus or Web of Science or any such place. And as far as finding topics, etc. is concerned, within commerce, I'm sure you may have some domains, either HR or marketing or tax or accounts or something. Within tax also, there might be some specific domain. So I am a marketing faculty. I teach branding, consumer behavior, but they are so vast. But if you ask me what are my research domains, technology adoption, millennials, then somewhat maybe okay on e-learning. I have just these 3-4 research domains only. So somewhere, okay, we have to restrict our domains and not be too flexible. Ki ye bhi kar liya, wo bhi kar liya. There has to be some consistency, because when you put this also information on your resume and you're going to go for an interview at a job, suddenly आपने कभी कुछ CRM किया है, कभी taxation पे किया है, कभी कुछ financial systems पे किया है. That shows our lack of specialization, which may go against us. So just stick to 2-3 areas. Take some time to figure that out. And where to find Scopus journals? So ऐसी एक list होती है. Maybe madam, you can connect with me after the session. I'll just try to see if I can pass on. ABDC चाहिए आपको journal, so आप just Google पे ABDC journal करिए तो Excel sheet आ जाएगी. So like that you can get to know. I hope that helps, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, you can ask questions here.
Ma'am, thanks a lot for the wonderful presentation. I have a doubt, for example, regarding policy research such as international trade and macroeconomics. The secondary research is more important than primary research. So in that case, the construct validity and other things may not actually be applicable. So how do we go about such things, ma'am?
Ma'am, then in that case, I think when it comes to secondary research or literature review, again, how you're presenting, is it very cluttered or is it very systematically in a tabular presentation? Okay, you're able to put that information. I think it can be very appealing. 3 to 4 points in a slide, and not too much of jargon or something. So if you all permit, okay, I just want to share one presentation, okay, with all of you. That was when I had done 2 to 3 years ago, or I think in 2019, and for that also I had won an award. So I'll just give you one example of how I try to show this particular information. So just a second. So that study was on the OTT sector, and it was on it was on 1 second. So I'll just share my screen with all of you. So that time, this is 2019. I was also learning, so I was very passionate. Okay, like title slide to bahut acha hona chahiye. So people may find this very cluttered. The conference theme was marketing in the VUCA world, and I had done my study was analyzing video on demand consumption in the generation of Gen Z. So VUCA, तो मैंने VUCA का कुछ image किया है, OTT है, Gen Z है, and my details. Later on, I realized that इतना clutter भी अच्छा नहीं है. But aims and objectives I have shown over here like this, the literature review. And this literature review, these pointers, okay, I found in this particular study. Some pointers I found in this study. Another pointer I found in another study. Then there's a link that I've given from an industry report. Then, so the literature review can be presented in this format also. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. Make it very interesting. Okay, just those boring bullets, I think it is very nauseating. It's a sure recipe for making people sleep. Like if you just have like one big paragraph or just boring pointers.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, my name is Savita. I am a PhD scholar. So I just wanted to ask you one thing. You have mentioned in your presentation convenience sampling. So anytime you had to justify why convenience sampling has been used, because the same was asked to me also, that non-probability samplings are not the good ones. So how did you justify that?
Yeah. So somewhere in one of the research workshops and some books that I've read, that majority social science research is done on non-probability sample. And they'll say, who is this person who told you? ऐसे नहीं चलता है. So you need to have citations. So what you could do is, Avita, that in your domain, there might be some studies which have also done non-probability. So look for A-star ranking journals or papers and cite them that they have also done non-probability. And if they have used convenience sampling, even better. When I've been reading some research papers, okay, I've found that even non-probability sampling or convenience sampling is well accepted, but citations is required. In social science research, convenience sampling is okay. Why? Because sometimes a sample frame can't be defined. Like it's like online learners, like कितने होंगे? सब होंगे. अभी कैसे उनको define करें? थोड़ी yellow pages है, थोड़ी ये है, थोड़ी ग्राम पंचायत पे जाके. So when we cannot define our sampling frame, that means our sample in a way is infinite. Okay, like not infinite. Ka actual meaning is like endless. In a way it is endless. Okay, in a way it is infinite. Then in that cases, non-probability sampling can definitely be used. Citations DJ. Anything that you want to use now, have a good citation, so nobody will pinpoint you why you're doing this. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Any other question?
I think some questions are in the chat box.
Just wait. I had asked them to write.
Okay. Those who've written big questions, if you could unmute yourself and ask, so that
that is better idea. Better you ask.
Ma'am, I have written a question that generally how much should be a sample size of entire population for study?
Ma'am, there are these sample size calculation methods like G power and Daniel-Soper. You can check this online. Depending on the method or the research analysis tool that method that you're using, like whether you're going to use regression or structural equation modeling or anything, the requirement for it changes. Like in my study, based on the number of constructs that I had, and the fact that I was going to use structural equation modeling, I got 210 was the minimum sample size. Now things have advanced so much, okay, that we don't go by कि अरे population तो इतना सारा है, like 2 billion जितना होगा. So again, coming back to online learning, which is my domain. Online learning, I think half of the world or full world is using that. So if based on that population अगर मैं sample draw करूंगी तो वो कभी भी पूरा नहीं होने वाला है. So Daniel-Soper and such methods, okay, again citation दिखाए होते हैं, which tell you that 500. So I had 1,000 plus. Frankly speaking, I purposely targeted to have 1,000 plus because वो traditionally होता है कि जितना sample अच्छा होगा उतना अच्छा है. So I went by that also.
I would like to share my experience, ma'am. During my PhD viva, I have taken my research area was Mumbai suburban district. So the expert asked me a question: what is the population and how much percentage you have taken? So kind of they asked me to defend. So that's the reason I was asking your question. Thank you.
I think those were ये अभी questions भी evolve बहुत हो रहे हैं. अभी recently जो vivas होंगे या जो examiners भी आ रहे हैं, if they have strong hold on statistical methods, tools, techniques, maybe the questions that they are going to ask is also going to vary.
Ma'am, 3 quick questions.
Yeah.
Based on your experience of conferences and what you have shared in your presentation that less is more, what less means how much less? You have shared in your presentation at MICA, you have also shared empirical results as also theoretical implications and the contribution. What if the paper is only descriptive and is making a propositional or a propositional contribution only? Is it acceptable in conferences?
So if you have a conceptual model or a descriptive, आपको accept तो हो ही जाएगा, आपको present करने तो मिलेगा ही. But in my experience, I have found that if you have data, like if you have analysis findings, quantitative or qualitative, maybe if you've used softwares like NVivo, MaxQD, etc., then such presentations are always appealing. And I'm not saying, in fact, IIMs में तो ऐसे भी बहुत बार बोला जाता है कि just because you've used advanced quantitative techniques, आपका study important नहीं. वहाँ पे gaps आपकी कितनी अच्छी है. तो gaps बहुत अच्छा, it's very important to have a proper research gap and then some findings and good research methodology.
Right, ma'am. Then question 2, which is also very important and why from you will understand. Is it advisable to complete all your publications from your thesis before leaving the institution, or should we carry a pipeline also with us?
Sumit, this is a very interesting question, okay, and I will answer as per my ideology and belief. I feel that it's important कि आपके जो minimum publications है ना, हम वो PhD के duration में कर लेते हैं, and if some pipeline is there, okay, maybe once we get a job, okay, क्योंकि नए job में भी आपसे expectations तो होंगी ना कि आपको इतने publications.
Unable to listen, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, she's audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Sumit, what I feel is कि minimum जितना mandate होता है PhD में आप उतना तो करिए, और आपका since your PhD topic है and post PhD job opportunities भी improve होते हैं, तो इधर अपने नए job में या फिर existing job में फिर बाद में आप करिए. It's important to get done with PhD ASAP because वो topic भी थोड़े old होते रहते हैं वगैरह, and आपकी study तो कोई लेके नहीं जाएगा आपका pipeline. पहले जो basic है वो खत्म करिए. Like 2 publications या जो भी है, thesis writing है, submission है, then work on. So after you submit your thesis till the time you have your viva, that is a golden period where you work rigorously on those pipeline papers. That would be a smart way of doing it.
Right, ma'am. My last question and very pertinent, and probably you'll be the right person to answer this. Now the research is, it's not now, but then with the micro foundations of research, it is more becoming multidisciplinary in nature. Let us say we undertake research in, say, green marketing. We are going to an institution like Mica or Narsim Monji and teaching whole domain of marketing. My request for a clarification or a guidance from you is, should we only target to become faculties of marketing, or should we also target becoming faculties of multidisciplinary subjects or areas like management, principles of management, organization theory, strategic management, operations, and restrict ourselves to one domain? So your views on this. My last question was
Yeah, no problem, Sumit. Sumit, the scope of this question is beyond our session, but I like this question and I would like to answer that. I have believed that it's important to be a specialist and stick to your domain. So if your research, okay, has been in marketing, and if you have also taught marketing in the past and you like that domain, ideally apply for jobs or teach in that domain. Let's not try to be a bhelpuri faculty, ye bhi padhaya, wo bhi padhaya, sab padhaya. Because the way the education domain is changing, we need specialist teachers, we need specialist. So develop your core and niche area, and avoid being a generalist. Be a specialist. I do this for myself. I've lost so many opportunities, okay, for so many things. Are, can you teach this also? Within marketing also, I'm very specific. I will teach only these 3-4 subjects. I will not go. Not that I'm not interested in learning about them, but learning is one thing and teaching is another thing. So yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, there's one question from, I think, Himali madam. She's asking how many research papers should we read before?
Okay. This was the question, okay, I had, okay, when I started my PhD. I would ask people, Acha, how many papers should we read? Should we read 200 papers, 300 papers, or so on? So just talking about my PhD journey, although I've not submitted my thesis yet, the work is going on. I must have read at least 600 research papers. And they were not necessary of my domain, but aju-baju of my domain also, okay, nearing my domain also. And typically in any good study, I end up using at least 80 to 100 references, okay, citations and all. So minimum 80 to 100 to karna hi hai, but in order to identify those gaps, sometimes zyada bhi lagta hai. That is why we say that you take up a field or domain, you work on it for 3-4 years. अभी 500-600 papers थोड़ी एक साल में किया है. It has taken so much of time, okay, to read those papers. Even 100 papers to read 100 papers is going to take a lot of time. Pick one domain, stick to it, read everything about it, okay, and then from that come up with at least 3 to 4 publications.
Yeah. Is it the question?
Ma'am, can you guide how a beginner can start with research stuff? Because, the mistakes what you have done and a beginner shouldn't do that. Explain a little about it.
So yeah, Priyanka. Again, for that, I'll need a separate session again altogether, because there are so many things, it's a lot of times trial and error. It is a lot of times, this you can confirm with anyone and everyone. When we read our own articles, okay, which are 1 year old, 2 year old, or even 6-month-old, at least I go through this. Like I tell myself, what was I even thinking? ऐसे कोई लिखता है, ये क्या लिखा है मैंने? The moment you have that feeling where you are being critical of your own work, where you are not liking your work, you are in love with your work at one point in time when you are doing it, but as time is passing, you are evolving your reading, and then you feel that there are 10 mistakes that I can find. That means you are changing, you're evolving, you're growing. Please read as much as you can. Strengthen research methodology, read research methodology, attend as many workshops as you can, watch as many YouTube videos you can for research methodology, reading papers, speaking to people, going to conferences, good conferences, and collaborating. And कोई बोलेगा कि नहीं conference का API नहीं है. अरे, I have learned so many things in conference. Another thing I like about conference is that they give a timeline. कि तब तक पेपर खत्म करना है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली ना पेपर कंप्लीट हो जाता है मेरा. Otherwise, if I'm thinking to do for a publication, I'm just writing, today I will not write, I'll write tomorrow. So that time limitation helps.
That's nice, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope all have asked questions. Yeah, so wonderful presentation, Jinal ma'am. What I came to know is that it's not so easy to get, best paper award. You need to be creative, you need to be, innovative, unique with your topic.
Yes.
You should have to present with a new idea, and ultimately it needs a lots of pain to go through, work, understand, and again have your own idea. Newness has to be there. It's not that easy, but it's not impossible as well. So you have really given a wonderful session, and I'm very sure that all the research scholars and the faculties must have got something. And as I know you personally, you have been a wonderful learner since the years.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, may I request our IQC coordinator, Madam Kirti Mingani, ma'am, to give vote of thanks. Please, Kirti ma'am.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Geeta madam, Kirti madam, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Thank you, Rajesh sir. Good evening to one and all. Jinal Shah ma'am, you made our evening. I will say you made our evening. It was so wonderful session, ma'am. ऐसा लगा छोटा पैक और बड़ा धमाका. In 1 hour, you gave so much qualitative stuff which we never received from the earlier session. Also, ma'am, your every information was very valuable, and your message was like: be specific, be focused, learn and grow, and don't be a journal, but be a special. Research is not digging the old things, but finding out the new thing. You should know how to highlight your USP. A very informative and insightful session, ma'am. Thank you very much. And as you know, the audience are looking for much more such session by you. So definitely, again, we are going to invite you and we'll have more session on research related topic. Thank you very much, ma'am, Jinal ma'am. I'm very thankful to our management and principal sir for allowing us to conduct this program. I'm very thankful to our research center cell and chairman as well as the convener of today's program, Rajesh Bhoite sir and Shaukat Ali sir. I'm very thankful to Atisham sir, who is managing the technical aspects of this session, but not and least our participants who at the evening time was so eager to learn, and they were raising a question and they are looking for more such session. Thanks a lot to one and all. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Hemant sir, Rajesh sir, Shaukat Ali sir, Kirti ma'am, the IT coordinator. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And the wonderful audience also.
God bless you, ma'am. With all the success, sir, you are too good. God bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And as madam said, certainly we are going to conduct more session for students also, new research scholars. So thank you, all of you. So with the permission of Hemant sir, should we end the meeting, sir?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, always be connected. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, Rajesh sir, I think some of them have missed the link for feedback. If you can ask them to put it in the WhatsApp group.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I again ask. Adisham sir, may I request once again you just give link here and on YouTube chat box?
Sir, we can put it in the WhatsApp group also, sir, if it is possible. That would be
okay, sir. Okay, not an issue.
Because some of them are requesting there.